nome Patri, Filii, Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ho, ho, ho! And seeing that we're still within the octave of Christmas, hence the traditional Sinterklaas hat. And with that said, I ask you to take a look below at the two links that I've put up. A couple of stories that I find pretty interesting. I think you may as well. Real quick, the first one is concerning a blog entitled Religion of Peace. The guy that runs this blog has, for obvious reasons, kept his identity a secret. One of those obvious reasons being he's just received an email death threat where the bad guys have essentially told him, don't say we're violent or we'll kill you. Specifically, what they've told him is, we will kill you like this. And there's a photograph of a man who's just had his head carved off, chest down in the grass, and on this man's back is his head. I think to myself, wow, what could this Religion of Peace blog have on it that would cause such anger and hatred and evoke such emotions that would make them threaten this man in such a fashion? Well, let me give you an example of the kind of stuff you'll find on Religion of Peace blog. Islamic terrorists have carried out more than 14,569 deadly terror attacks since 9/11. For the week of December 12th through 18th, there were 42 jihad attacks, 182 people killed, and 362 people critically injured. For the month of November, 139 attacks in 14 different nations involving 5 religions with 529 fatalities and 1,075 critically injured. Wow! I didn't know this. Did you? I certainly didn't hear about this from ABC, otherwise known as the Al Barak channel. I certainly didn't get this information from CNN, the Clinton News Network. With the exception of a few brave British publications and one or two here in America, I would have, and people like the guy that runs Religion of Peace, I would have never known this information. I doubt if any of us would have known this. This is pretty amazing stuff. And he's been threatened with having his head carved off. Youch! That would get my attention. Okay, anyhow, the second thing that I've posted to is a op-ed piece from the Portland Press Herald of Portland, Maine. The guy that writes this op-ed piece, it's entitled, Boys Suffer in a Culture Without Challenges. Gee, where have I heard that before? I've talked about that on more than a few occasions. But there's a couple specifics I'd like to point out. I really like this one here. He says, more men are losing self-confidence and their passion for competing and achieving. Well, yeah. This culture celebrates mediocrity. Don't put forth any effort. Don't try. Certainly don't win. Just be there and you'll get a trophy. The guy also puts down here, I like this, today's boys learn more about fairness and fun than how to compete successfully. How many times have we heard that? Just go out there and have fun. Well, that in and of itself, it's not that bad. But at the cost of teaching success, doesn't that sound kind of like socialism? Just be there and you'll be rewarded. You don't have to really do anything and you'll be rewarded. Yeah, that sounds an awful lot like what's coming out of Washington, D.C. nowadays. But the one last thing I'd like to quote from this guy's piece here is, I really like this. Our global business competitors and terrorist enemies are licking their chops. Boy, aren't they though? I'd also like to point out, a buddy of mine just emailed this to me. It's Maureen O'Dowd from the New York Times. She does an op-ed piece there, and she talks about how her brother Kevin, a political conservative and a Catholic, she asked her brother what he thought of 2009. And here are some of Brother Kevin's takes on the year that's rapidly coming to an end. And I like this. Kevin O'Dowd says, My dad was a DC policeman, and I would like to apologize, not recalibrate, to the Cambridge police for the president's assumption that they acted stupidly. You would think that Mr. Obama would have afforded the police the same consideration he gave to the mass murdering Muslim army major when he said, "I would caution against jumping to conclusions." Kevin O'Dowd goes on to say, the Fort Hood massacre was a direct result of Army policy too concerned with political correctness and celebrating diversity. It was a terrorist attack by any definition, and the government still cannot say it. God bless you, Kevin O'Dowd. How right you are. So, anyhow, sports fans, I look at these two postings that I've linked to, and yeah, there is a common thread. America has gone from being a nation of steel workers to a nation of Walmart greeters, because we, at one point in time, celebrated success. Not celebrating success over the bodies of those who got in our way, but success more along the lines of fair play. Success with fair play. Success with Christian morality, heavily infused. Those are, and now it's just for showing up. And the apex of this is the chief apologist who currently resides at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, whose biggest achievement in life, prior to being our chief, our mediocre in chief, he was a community organizer, whatever in the world that is. And he was also a very part-time U.S. Senator from Illinois. That's what this country's come to. If your lungs exchange oxygen for carbon dioxide, you get a trophy. You know, I think back on a quote from Bull Halsey, back right after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Oh, or was that a man-made disaster? No, it was an attack. Bull Halsey made the famous quote, "By the time we're through with them, the Japanese language will be spoken only in hell." Yow! You think he meant it? Yeah. You think Bull Halsey had a will to win? Yeah. So we've gone from that to, where was it? What old Barack Obama said? I would caution against jumping to conclusions. A government that won't even call the Fort Hood massacre a terrorist attack. And unfortunately, within our own religion, we celebrate mediocrity, just being there. We went from being a religion of moral absolutes, black and white. This is right, this is wrong, with a very thin line of ambiguity in the middle. Very thin line. We've gone all the way to the other end of the spectrum, from a very thin line of black, a very thin line of gray. I'm sorry, very thin line of white, to a whole bunch of gray in the middle. May not be the official teaching of the Catholic Church, but a whole bunch of priests, nuns, and bishops give us that philosophy of ambiguity instead of a religion of moral absolutes. It's only a sin if you think it's a sin. Do what your conscience tells you is right. As far as this country's concerned, sacrifice? Blood? Something greater than yourself? Success? Winning? These are dirty words now, and you know it. Unless there's a reawakening, religious and political, in Western Christendom, in the Western world, we will cease to exist. And with that said, God bless. Till next time. Bye, guys.